Hi, this is Brian with ActiveMelody.com. Well, I know these solo blues compositions are always really popular. Every time I put one out, I always get requests for more of them. So I try to throw them in from time to time. So that's what we're going to be doing this week. We're going to break down a solo blues composition. You can play this all by yourself. It works on an acoustic or electric guitar. And what's really cool about this is that it works at any tempo. I'm playing it at a fairly slow tempo in this video just to demonstrate how good it sounds slow. But if you speed it up, it sounds really good as well. And I'll demonstrate that later in the lesson just to show you how it sounds. And so we're going to break down everything note for note. I'll show you how to play it, and then I'll also explain the why behind the notes so that you can start to use these licks when you improvise and when you write your own music. So I've got this lesson split into two parts. In this video, we'll take a look at the first half. If you'd like to watch the second half and download the tablature for this, you can get that by going to ActiveMelody.com, go to the weekly lessons page, and do a search for EP268. Alright, so let me just start off by mentioning this guitar. I know I'm going to have some questions about it. And if you want to skip this part and go right to the lesson, you can do that by fast forwarding to the number you see on the screen right now. But this guitar is a new one to me. I picked it up this week here in Nashville. I was at a guitar store and I was walking through the used section, which is actually the place you should start when you go to a guitar store. Always check out what the used stuff is. That's where the cool stuff usually is. But anyway, I see this old archtop guitar sitting on a stand, and I went and picked it up, and I didn't have a lot of expectations for it. A lot of times with an old guitar like this, you plug them in, they look cool, but then you plug them in and they don't sound that good, or they don't stay in tune, or something like that. But this guitar was just phenomenal in the way that it, or is phenomenal in the way that it plays. It's the intonation is right, the action is right. Everything about it is perfect. I couldn't put it down. It was one of those things, it doesn't happen that often, but when it does, sometimes you just have to listen to that and think, well, maybe I should just buy the guitar. I didn't know anything about this brand. It's a Vega guitar. It's a 1952 Vega. And I had to do a little bit of research to even find out what Vega guitars were. I had heard of Vega banjos, but apparently they did a line of guitars in the 30s, 40s, and I guess 50s, and maybe they made them after that. I don't know, but that's what this is. It's a Vega archtop. It has a D. Armand pickup. Everything's original on it, except it did have some fretwork done on it. Apparently the frets were, I don't know if they replaced the frets or what, but whoever had this before knew what they were doing in terms of setup. It's just perfect. So I played this for about 4 hours the other night with a group of guys. We get together and jam once a week, and it didn't go out of tune the entire time. So if that, I mean, that's like unheard of in any guitar. Usually at some point it's going to get knocked out of tune, but not this one. So this is just the coolest guitar. So in terms of tone, I'm playing through, I'm not playing through an amp. I am playing through a Kemper profiler. That's K-E-M-P-E-R. You don't have to go and get a Kemper. They're not cheap. But I'm using a matchless head, which is the profile that I'm playing through. If you want to try and get a sound like this, take whatever electric guitar, assuming you're playing electric here, and plug it into your amp, and then dial in a little bit of overdrive and a little bit of reverb. You don't want it too much, but you want it to be so that if you play quietly or softly, it sounds fairly clean, but if you dig in, you start to get that growl. That to me is like the perfect blues tone. And I can get that sound on just about any amp. It's just a matter of sort of playing with the overdrive, and just the mistake most people make is they give it too much and then it sounds like death metal. You don't want it to sound real crunchy, or it just doesn't work. So, okay, let's talk about the song. So this song is in the key of E. It's a 12-bar blues, 1-4-5 chord progression, very basic setup. And the way that the song starts, it starts on the 5 chord. And actually, let me show you how to do this. This is a great little takeaway for how to start a blues song, by the way. But the 5 chord in this case is a B chord. And you can play any version of a B major chord. You can play a B7. In this case, I'm playing a B9 chord. So you just take your B7 chord, and then you take your pinky and you bar the first 2 strings there on the 2nd fret. That makes that a B9. It gives it a little jazzier feel than if you just played a straight up B7. But the technique is to start a half step above that. So in this case, it would be a C9. So whatever your 5 chord is, just walk everything up a set of fret. Or a fret, and and then walk it down. So that's your takeaway. If you want to look for a really cool way to start a blues song, try doing that. Just find your 5 chord, go up a half step, and then resolve on the 5 chord. Okay, so then the next thing I played after that is it goes right into the 1 chord. Now what's cool about this is we're playing in the major pentatonic scale. Now the mistake a lot of people make when it comes to slow blues like this is they think minor pentatonic scale and nothing else. But a lot of blues comes out of that major pentatonic scale. Guys like B.B. King, you know, they would often play in the major pentatonic. So that's actually what I'm trying to emulate here is kind of a BB sound. Now I'm playing in major pentatonic scale pattern 4, which is right there. And I go through all 5 patterns, by the way, in the blues lead course for premium members at Active Melody. But this is pattern 4 of the major pentatonic scale. And it starts on the 2nd fret, 1st string. I do a slide up to the 4th fret. And then I come up to the 7th fret on the 1st string. And you can hold that note as long as you want. That's another nice thing about playing, well, when you're playing by yourself like this sort of solo style, you can obviously do that. But even if you're playing this with a full band, everyone would be waiting for you to go. And when you do that, you're coming down to the 1. That's when the drummer would know when to come in. But they would all be watching you. So, after that, you come to the 4th fret, 1st string. And then you're going to do a full bend and release on the 7th fret, 2nd string. And then the 5th fret, 2nd string. So all together. And that's your 1. Now, the next thing that happens is that, and this is sort of a call and response style format, although it's not real strict where I keep going back to the same call every time in the same place, but you have to define the song a little bit, and so this is how I'm doing it. Just a few notes there, that's all you need to define where you're at in the song. So I'm starting with the open 6th string, and then I'm going to slide from the 2nd fret to the 4th fret on the 6th string, and then play the 2nd fret, 5th string, and then back to the 6th string. So altogether you have, and that really becomes the definer for where we are in the song. So let's back it up now from the beginning. Right? You're starting to feel it a little bit, especially if you start tapping your foot. You can really start to feel where you're at in the song. That's the next thing we're going to play. It's going to be right in that pattern 4 again. So it's the same notes really, we're just kind of tracing over them again, but we're going to slide up to the 6th fret 4th string, 5th fret 2nd string, back to the 6th fret 4th string, and then we're going to do 2 bends on the 7th fret 2nd string. 2 bends with a release. And then down to the 5th fret 2nd string, and then that last note is the 6th fret 3rd string. So all together we have, and then after that I played, and this is a great takeaway lick, and I use this lick all the time because it's taking advantage of those 2 open strings. Anytime I'm playing in the key of E, I use this lick. So it's the open 1 string, we're going to do an upstroke with the right hand, and then we're going to do a downstroke on the 2nd string. So your E string, your B string, and then middle finger goes down on the 2nd fret 3rd string. So you have, and then you do this hammer on, open 3rd string, hammer on to the 1st fret, and then you can play your low E string or the 6th string. So just remember that lick. If you're ever soloing, improvising the key of E, you can always get to that. So if you're playing something high on the neck, it allows you to take your hand off the fretboard and play those 2 open strings. I use that a lot. Okay, let me back up now from the beginning. Okay? We're going to do that same call again. And then the second time through, the response will be. And this time we're playing in the minor pentatonic scale, pattern 2. Do you hear how different it sounds? It's a very different feel than the real happy stuff. Sounds a little more serious, a little more sad. So we're playing minor pentatonic scale pattern 2 for the key of E. So, and you can see how those two are right beside each other. That should be like a little light bulb goes off and you think, oh wait, I could go back and forth real easy if I'm wanting to improvise between the minor pentatonic scale and the major in that little spot. And you have these little spots all over the neck. Okay, so it starts by sliding up to the 4th fret 3rd string, 3rd fret 2nd string, 5th fret 2nd string. And then we're going to go 3rd fret 1st string, and then 5th fret 1st string. So you can see it's a little box there. That's a half bend on the 5th fret 1st string, and then you do a pull off to the 3rd fret 1st string, and then back to the 5th fret 2nd string. So, and that last note is the 3rd fret 2nd string. So all together, and then we go to the 5 chord. So to get to that 5 chord, we're going to play the same call like we did for the E part, but we're just going to move everything up a set of strings. So we're going to start on the 5th string and slide up to the 4th fret, just like we did before. This time, the only difference is, just to give it a little different feel, is I went ahead and barred their first 4 strings on the 2nd fret and played strings 4 and 3. Now you could have done that over the 1 chord as well, if you want to give it that feel. It just depends on what you're looking for. So backing up, we have... now the next thing which I forgot to mention was those 2 notes. That's just your middle finger on the 6th fret 3rd string, and then your index finger on the 5th fret 2nd string. And you can think of those 2 notes as being 2 notes out of the A major bar chord, or you can just think of them as 2 notes in that major pentatonic scale pattern 4. Either way, they both work really well over that A chord. Alright, so we've already covered a lot of information. Let me back up and play through everything. I'll play through it slowly up to where we're at. Here's that A part, right? Same thing as the E part, but we're now playing it up a set of strings. Now the next thing I played went... So that gets us back to the 1 chord. It sounds complicated, but it's actually pretty easy. So we're going to slide back into that pattern 4 of the major pentatonic scale. That's the sliding into that 6th fret 3rd string, 5th fret 2nd string, and then back to the 6th fret 3rd string, and then that's the same lick played twice. It's just a half bend on the 7th fret 2nd string. You don't want to do a full bend. And remember, a half bend is just 1 fret above where you started. So it's a bend, release, play it without the bend, and then your 5th fret 2nd string. Did it twice, and then I went following the same timing, but we're changing the notes obviously. We're going to play 7th fret, 6th fret, and 5th fret on the 1st string. There's the 3rd fret 1st string. So what I'm doing here in my mind, I'm going from that major pentatonic scale, pattern 4, and then once I come down, and this is just a little chromatic walk down, but I come down here to pattern 1 of the minor pentatonic scale for E. That's sort of your home base for when you're playing lead, right? So that's where I came down to that 3rd fret 1st string. So backing up, we have... And then, after after that is the 2nd fret, 2nd string, and then we're going to play the 1 and 2 string with an upstroke. And if you only hit the 1 string, that's fine too. That's what I was trying to do. And we're back to that same call. And then I played a response that goes real cool. Maybe my favorite lick in the whole thing, just because I use it so much. So what we're doing is we're sliding up to pattern 2 of the minor pentatonic scale for E. So middle finger comes up to the 4th fret 3rd string, index fingers on the 3rd fret 2nd string. But then you play the open 1 string. That's what gives it that cool feel. And then back down to the 2nd fret 3rd string. And you slide into that. And do a quick hammer-on between the 1st fret and then open string there on the 3rd string. You can do it as many times as you want, but you hear that a lot in blues. Alright, so let's back up again from the beginning. See, there's another call there. Now the next lick goes like this. Now we're going to the 5 chord, right? Here's the lick. So we're going back to that same pattern 4 of the major pentatonic scale. We're starting there. That's where we're starting. So we're sliding up to the 6th fret 3rd string, 5th fret 2nd string, 7th fret 2nd string. And then my ring finger comes up to the 9th fret 2nd string. Now let me show you how to play this, and then I'll show you how to think about it. That's what we're going to play. So that's a half bend on the 9th fret 2nd string. Play the 9th fret 2nd string without the bend. There's the 7th fret 2nd string. Ring finger comes down on the 9th fret 3rd string. And then there's a hammer-on between the 7th fret and the 8th fret on the 3rd string. So, do an upstroke now on the 7th fret 2nd string. And your ring finger goes down the 9th fret 4th string. Sounds like a lot, but when I show you where this is coming from, it'll all make sense. So I knew we were going to the 5 chord at this point. And actually, I visualized this chord. That's just your B major bar chord, where you bar here on the 7th fret. So I was picturing that, and so I could see all those notes there. You can see what I just did there. I just made the chord. So I was just kind of dancing around that chord, and these licks that you learn around chord shapes become the key to really unlocking the entire neck, because once you learn this little lick, you can use that over any chord shape, over G. Anytime you're playing a G now, you could use that lick. Right? And so you start to realize the power of these licks and how when you connect them to these chord shapes, they become very useful. Right? There, so that's your B. And then it goes to the A chord, right? So that if that's your B, there's your A major bar chord. So I'm taking that chord shape that I just made and I'm walking it down 2 frets. So after we play the A, I played. So I'm gonna dance around that A chord shape. So the first thing I was thinking about was your A chord, playing your A7 chord. So I was thinking about that note. So it's the 8th fret 2nd string, played it twice, 5th fret 2nd string, middle finger goes down on the 6th fret 3rd string, right? It's in the chord. And then, Hear how that switches from that happy sound to the more serious sound. And that's because we're kind of going from that major back to the minor pentatonic scale. We're going down to pattern 2 now of the minor pentatonic scale for E. So it's the 3rd fret 2nd string. Middle finger goes down on the 4th fret 3rd string. Do a quick slide down to the 2nd fret. And then do a hammer on from the open 3rd string to the 1st fret. And then you can hit that low E string or the 6th string. All right, so let's see. And then you've just got your turnaround, which goes. And that turnaround is very useful. It's very easy to play. I'm using my middle finger. I'm sliding up to the 4th fret 3rd string. And this is where I'm using some hybrid picking. You don't have to do that, but I'm picking on the 3rd string. And I'm using my middle finger on the 2nd string, my ring finger on the 1st string. So I'm going. So that's all you're doing with the left hand. You're just walking that 4th fret 3rd string down to the 3rd fret, down to the 2nd fret, and then you do a hammer on from the open 3rd string to the 1st fret. So. And then we walk up to the 5 chord. Classic blues turnaround. So you play the open 5th string, or your A, 1st fret 5th string, and then play the 2nd fret 5th string, but make sure you use your middle finger so that you can play your B7 chord. So and then we go into the second half. All of that's just the first half. So you can see there's a lot of information in this lesson, but we're going to end this part 1 video right there, and we'll save the second half for premium members. And remember, if you're not a premium member, on this lesson, on all lessons, you get the jam tracks, you get the tablature, you get all the materials that go along with it, and all the instructional video. Okay, so let's back up from the beginning and play all of this first half. I'll play through it slowly, and then I'll see you in part 2 so that you can learn the rest. All right, here we go.